welcome from my little space here in Vienna. My name is Luise, I'm a literature student and writer, and here is your ultimate guide to Vienna's libraries. I tested out quite a lot of libraries here in Vienna over the course of my studies, but for a very long time I was often very intimidated by libraries. I don't know why. It's a space that I didn't know how to use and what are the rules. And therefore, for a very long time, I did not go into libraries. And now I've kind of opened this door for myself. And if you are similar to me, it might help you to know how the different libraries work. And also, if you are just interested in the beautiful libraries that Vienna has to offer, here are some options. This is just part one. I am planning to make a part two, but I don't know when, so it might take a while. So let me know in the comments if this is something you are interested in. And now, without further ado, let's start. I would like to begin with the university libraries because these are definitely the ones that I know best as a student. I studied comparative literature as a bachelor, also Scandinavian studies, and now I'm doing my master in Austrian studies. Some informations that apply to all the university libraries that I'm going to mention here. You are allowed to bring your drinks in a bottle into the reading hall, but you are not allowed to bring any food. You usually get the key for the lockers at the front desk. Only at the history department you need to bring your own coin to put into the locker and then you can close it. To access the library, if you are already a student at the University of Vienna, then you have easy access. You just use your U card. But if you are not a student, you can still use the library. It's just a different process, but it's all online. You just need to fill out a form and then you get your card. Let's start with the library of the German and Scandinavian department because these two have one library together. And it is one of my favorite libraries. It is aesthetic, it's very beautiful. It has a big library hall, and if you are searching for a certain book that you found online in the catalog, you can just go to the shelf, take out the book and then borrow it. You have this old school library feeling and it's very kind of mystic and what you often imagine of a library or when you think of academia and spending a lot of time in a library. But there are some downsides, especially at the moment. It can be a little bit crowded in there because at the moment the main reading hall, which is incredibly beautiful, but it is closed due to construction work, and therefore lots of people who used to go to the main reading hall now go to the German and Scandinavian library. If you needed to be extremely quiet, then I would not recommend this department simply because there are lots of people going in and out, it's just background noise, and you can also hear a little bit of the construction work at the moment, but for me personally, it's not a big problem and it will also change again. German department is very nice to use, very old school and beautiful. I love to go there for the aesthetics and also because it is my department. I study Austrian studies, which is a master provided by the German department. The next one that I already mentioned is the history department, and this one is also very beautiful, also aesthetic. It's a little bit simpler, a lot smaller actually, so it's not a very big room, and this makes it a bit more intimate but sometimes a bit harder to find a seat. But to be honest, I don't usually have a problem finding a seat because I'm a morning person, so I usually go in the morning. I don't know what it's like if you go in the afternoon. It might be very different. And during exam phase, every library is crowded. So if you still are looking for this old school library feeling, but you don't like very big reading halls and a lot of people, then the history department might be for you. It's also in the main building at Schottentor. And close to Schottentor, there is another library, and it's a newspaper reading hall, and a lot of people don't know about this place. And when the construction work at the main building started, I found out about this other reading hall because they told me, hey, if it's getting too crowded at the main building, you might want to check out the newspaper reading hall. And it's also a very nice place. It's quite big, it's one large room, and I did like going there, but you just have to like sitting in a very large room. But when you're taking a break, there's not really a space where you can sit and chill, which is different at the main building. So that is maybe a little bit of a downside. Another library that I personally really enjoy is the Library of the English and American Studies Department. This one is not at the main building at Schottentor, but at the campus. The campus is a little bit confusing because the university buildings are spread all over Vienna. There is not one campus where everything is. There is the main building with lots of departments in there, then there is the campus with lots of departments in there, and then there are several departments that are just somewhere else. The English and American Studies library is at the campus, which is about 10 minutes away from the main building, and it's a huge area that used to be a hospital. So it's also lovely because you can sit outside if you are taking a break, for example. And English and American Studies library is very nice because it's very open and light. You have huge windows. I really like that. This is another very lovely place where you have easy access and it's very open and airy. It's very bright in there, and you look outside and have a nice view of the campus area. So I can also recommend that, but you do have to walk through the campus, so it might take a little bit more time. Another university library that is not at the main building is the Library of Comparative Literature, and this one is behind the campus, so it's another building. It's a very modern building, and I do not recommend this library for its aesthetics. It's really not very beautiful. You go down into more like a basement area where the seating area is, and it's I don't know. It's not really for the aesthetics, but it does have some perks because it's not overcrowded at all. There are often, except for maybe exam time, you always get a seat, and it has air conditioning in summer. And I don't know, some people might also prefer a very clean surrounding, so there is not a lot going on. It's not like the history or German department where you have this like old school library vibe, and some people might not like it because it's distracting, so maybe the comparative literature department is more for you in that case. Now, moving on, these were some of the university libraries. There are obviously a lot more because each of the department has their library. These are just a few that I've been using quite a lot in the past few months. Next, I would like to introduce you to the Austrian National Library, which is in Vienna, and it has a vast collection of books. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they have to have a copy of every single book that is printed or like published in Austria. The thing is, I went there today for the first time, and I've wanted to do so for a very long time, and I think it's one of the libraries where you might expect a lot, but I don't know, it was different from what I had in mind. To give you an idea what I mean here, this is the State Hall of the National Library, and it holds a lot of very old books, but it is not used as a reading hall, so you can go in there as a visitor but not to study. And it was also not as easy accessible as other libraries. Okay, let me explain. So you have to make a library card. You can make a daily card, I think it's €4, or an annual card, which is €35. You pay for your card, they make a horrible photo of you right there in the entrance hall and put it on your little card. Mine looks absolutely horrifying. And then the library is very big, so you have different reading halls and different places you can go to, and I was very confused of where I am allowed to go with my library card, because sometimes there are places where you're only allowed to go inside if you borrow something, if you made a reservation in advance because you want to have a look at certain books. And it's not an open access library where you just have books and you can just take them, whereas a lot of university libraries have this system that you can just go to the shelf yourself and pick the book that you want. So the National Library doesn't work like that. It has their, I don't know how to call this in English. In German you would say the magazines, where all the books are stored, and then you make a request online that you need something and they bring it to you. And therefore it was just a little bit confusing for me to get an overview of the place because it's rather big. I should have gone there with a friend to have someone to be confused with together, and there were lots of things where I just felt a little bit lost in there. But still, it's a very nice library. The perks are, it's open on Sundays, which is a very rare thing. Most of the libraries are closed on Sunday. Most of everything is closed on Sundays in Austria, but the National Library is open. The thing is, from the outside, it looks very special, but then you go inside and it actually isn't. It's very modernized actually. It looks very clean, and it was also quite crowded today. There is a lot of coming and going, so it was a little bit noisy, always some background noises going on, and you have to like that, I guess. But it's still a good place. I think it's just a library that you need to get used to if you are easily overwhelmed, such as I am. But I think if I go there a couple of times and if I know, okay, there is this reading hall and there is this reading hall, then we'll get more accustomed and easier. There is also a very nice area to sit and eat, which is often not the case in other libraries. You can bring your own drink, like in a bottle, into the reading hall. You're not allowed to eat in there. There are different lockers. There are a few downstairs. It feels like a labyrinth to me. So the National Library is a nice place, but it's very big. There is more going on. It's not that intimate as some of the university libraries. And there is a special reading room that you can use if you want to have insight on some of the handwritten documents, which I might use in the future because there are some documents that I need for my master thesis. So if you stay tuned, I might do a video where I can use this specific reading hall. The next library is the Town Hall Library. Or also called Vienna Library, and it is in the building of the Town Hall. It is very beautiful, very aesthetic, and this has become one of my favorite libraries recently because it is very aesthetically pleasing but very intimate. It's quite small. It also is for free, and it's one of the few libraries where you don't have to pay any fee. So you just go there, you make a library card, and then you can just use it. The only downside is that you're not allowed to bring any food or drinks, and I always like to bring my water bottle, and this is not allowed in this library. have a rather small reading hall where you can just go inside, and then there is another reading hall but you can only use that if you are borrowing some of the books. I mean, borrowing is the wrong word because you're not allowed to take them home, but if you are, I don't know, using some of their books or documents. And even though it's one of those old libraries with a lot of dark wood, it's still very open and bright because it has huge windows. In the mornings when I came, it was absolutely no problem to find a seat, but I can imagine that a little bit later and also during exam time, it's very difficult to find a seat because it's rather small. And it has one of the last paternoster, which is an old elevator, and it just moves constantly, and you just can get inside whenever you want and step out on the floor that you need, and nothing can happen if you don't get off the floor that you need. It will just like move on like it goes down and then moves up again. Phone battery just died just before I wanted to talk about the last library on my list, and it is the Public Library of Vienna. And this is also the library that I work at, and it's very different from all the other libraries that I have mentioned because most of them have this kind of academic flair and lots of students go there. So the whole vibe in there is very different, and the public library has different little branch libraries. So there is the main building at Urban-Loritzplatz, which is very central, but it also has a small branch library. I'm not sure if that's the correct word, but in German, and this is like the direct translation that Google told me, so if you have a better word, let me know. But each district has a small branch library. You do have to pay if you want to borrow something. You can get a daily card, which is how much is it? €4 something? Do I work there or not? Who knows? €4 something. And the annual card is €36. I will only talk about the main building and not about the branch libraries because there are too many and I don't know all of them. And the main building, it's easy accessible. So if you just want to go there to study without borrowing anything, it is for free. You can just go inside, check out the different seating areas and then study as long as you want. And that's very nice, so it's very accessible, but it's also a lot more crowded, a lot more noisy. There is a lot going on, you know, but it has a nice seating area at the windows where you can look outside, and it is a nice view, but still there is one of the biggest and busiest streets of Vienna is right underneath, and also the subway. You can hear that. So it's not the most quiet place. It's also not super aesthetically pleasing, and lots of people do like the architecture, especially from the outside. It looks pretty cool with all the steps, and then in summer you can sit outside in the evening on those steps, which is nice, but I personally, I don't love the architecture itself, but still it's a very nice place to study. It doesn't feel so serious because it's a public library and everyone goes in and out, so maybe you like that vibe, then I would recommend the public library. Before my battery dies again, it is time to finish my tea. I hope this was interesting, and for anyone who lives in Vienna or who is coming to visit Vienna, or you might like to spend some time in one of Vienna's libraries, I hope this video was of interest. If you have any questions about the libraries, let me know. You can also watch another of my library talk videos, and there will definitely be more in the future, and I hope I'll see you the next time. Goodbye!